Okay, hello everybody and welcome to the Evolution of Fatherhood. My name's Shane Bowen and I am quite excited today for my special guests. Let me just share my screen. Stop share there for a second. And here we go. Now, this one and share. Yeah, perfect. All right. So this is the introduction. We've got an amazing, we've got a picture, we've got a LinkedIn QR code, so you can actually go and scan that and it will show you everything that's to do with the evolution of fatherhood. There'll be links to go to the Facebook page, the YouTube group, or the YouTube page, the Instagram group, and just click on, just scan that with your QR codes, and it takes you straight through there. It's called Linktree. If you haven't got it, you should be using it. It's a great little tool that's been created. First of all, I want to acknowledge all the women out there that are part of our the evolution of fatherhood. This quote sits really well with me. It's mother, sister, wife, and daughter are the four natural elements to any relationship between men and women. Okay, so that's what we talk about when we have any relationship with any woman. It comes through those four pillars. Okay, so we do the work as men because we really want to stand up for ourselves or stand out for ourselves, but our women are we do it for you as well, because we know that you want a powerful man in your life as well. So the next slide is a big thank you. So this is the evolution of fatherhood and all the podcasts that we've been done. It's been amazing, and thank you everybody for joining and coming and doing this podcast. But it's been an amazing journey. We call them, and pardon the pun, this is the founding fathers for the podcast. But it's just been amazing how many topics that we've gone through. We've crossed such a long we've come a long way in such a short time. That's given us these amazing podcasts that are so people comment on them all the time, and we keep people back and talk about their experiences and where their updates are, where they're coming. And next week we've got Slade coming back on, which is a young man that's went through the whole pathway to fatherhood, pathway to manhood, and he's giving back to the boys that that are coming behind him, which is really, really cool. I'm celebrating 10 years, so everyone can give a bit of a like in the post, or a bit of a congratulations. My book of poetry is 10 years old. It looks like a bit of a relic, but it's called The Simple Book of Poems, and I made a video about it and put it onto some of the socials about how I went through the process of making the book, and actually having my mum, and my mum actually wanting to take them into her to be buried with them. So it was kind of it was one of those things. But look out for that video. It's called Poems and Backstories. And celebrating being a poet for 10 years, and which crept up on me because it only seems like yesterday that I went through the whole exercise of procrastination. But that leads me to my guest speakers that are coming on today, which is amazing, and I'm excited about their ability as authors to come and share with us their experiences and how they become authors, and now teaching others to become authors, and how AI is one of the products that has come through specifically to help culture and my guest coming in and helping culture, and how we can AI is not going anywhere. It's just part of the framework as we move forward. So my special guests today are all about that, and they're on the ground working in these industries. And this is a great setup for them. So my first guest is coming on today is Andrew Jobling. Andrew, are you there?
I am, mate. Sorry, just struggling with AI here at the moment.
As we do on these AI calls, it's always this AI that comes up. It always challenges us with our abilities, and I always get tech challenges, and I'm doing everything in the background. Normally in a previous life, I would be the person behind all the scenes, pressing all the buttons and making all the transitions and making everything happen. But and now I'm in the camera, and I'm actually doing all that stuff as well. So
cool.
There you go, mate.
I need people like you in the background, mate, for sure.
Yeah, I always shout out. It was Anthony Robbins' a big podcast, like a virtual event, like a hybrid event, and there was like echoing going on. There was craziness happening on the call, and all the people are like complaining, stop the echo and all that. So I just like message straight in the message book, hey, AV Tech, I'm here, I'm feeling you, mate. You've got this, like positive straight away to him, because I know what it's like to be in that position when, things and AI and tech ain't happening for you. So Andrew, this week I wanted to talk about, because you're an author and you've just come back from your amazing retreat in Bali where you hosted a bunch of authors and took them through some processes to become authors, and I was just wondering about like how that fits in with AI in your eyes, and how there's a creation of backstories and things like that. How do you see AI fitting in with this land of author?
Well, that's a good question, mate. And it's probably not since you and I chatted not long ago. I'm thinking, I don't use AI. What are you talking about? and I realize I do all the time, which I don't know how many people listening to this think about AI. And as I said to you the other day, I thought AI was artificial insemination. So I was obviously very wrong about that. Clearly I'm an old fella. I come from the time when dinosaurs roamed the earth, and that was the sort of thing. But mate, it's just the way we live now, isn't it? And as I said, I'm an author now, have been for nearly 20 years, and certainly 20 years ago I don't know if there was even internet back then. I posted my first manuscript in the mail. The things they're called envelopes, and you actually you print out sheets of paper and you put a stamp on it and you put it in the mail. So we were just looking for maybe an artificial postman back then, or a postman with artificial intelligence. I don't know, but it's certainly evolved over the last 20 years for sure. And Bali was amazing. I mean, you're in Bali, you know how amazing it is, and we were with some wonderful people who are in the journey of becoming successful authors. And honestly, there wasn't a lot of talk about AI specifically, but I mean, it's just inherently in everything I do. I mean, I just wrote down a couple of things where I'm using AI, and I didn't even realize it was AI. In fact, interesting. Adam Wallace, who you'll be talking to shortly, and I are doing an event in Melbourne, Australia, and I'm setting up an Eventbrite event page for it, and I just done the blurb and it said, would you like some AI assistance? And I said, yes, please. Anything that can help me write a promotional piece better, I need help with. So I mean, that's sort of, I've only just come across ChatGPT, and I think it's good. It's got limitations, like anything, and I think we can rely way too much on it and technology. And I think and I think that's the great thing about what you're doing with the evolution of fatherhood. I mean, I think, as you know, kids are coming up and they're born into AI, and us older dudes, we're trying to get our head around AI. And I think there's a place in the middle where generations need to meet, because I think the young people need to know it's not all about tech, and it's not all about AI. It's also about connecting with people on a human level. But I guess the older generation need to understand that AI is here and it's here to stay, and we can use it to help and assist. When I wrote down a few things where I'm using it, just in obvious places, even just a Word document, when it does the spell check, if I've misspelled a word, it tells me it's misspelled. Well, that's AI, Facebook and LinkedIn, and I'm creating podcasts on Audacity and videos on Wondershare, and Grammarly is obviously AI, and
all AI. Yeah.
And as I said, I just said Eventbrite now is using AI to help you put the promotional thing together. So look, I like it. My whole take on AI is that let's not rely on it. Let's use it responsibly. Let's maximize it for sure. And I mean, wow, the technology is incredible. I just don't want to lose the human touch. And I think it can be very easily lost. In fact, I was just speaking with someone I'm working with recently who's just been submitting manuscripts to publishers, and on one of the submission pages, the question was asked, tick the box if you have used AI in any part of your manuscript. So it's starting, there's that indication that obviously AI is being used irresponsibly and unprofessionally, and and so I just think it's important for everyone who's watching this and use it and love it and get the benefits, but don't abuse it, because like anything, we can abuse things.
Yeah, I did an experiment the other day with one of my poems, my love button poem, and I put it through ChatGPT, and I said, make it better, right? And it made a beautiful poem out of the same kind of context, with the loop back and the context of it was really beautiful. But its signature was still Shane Bowen. Like, it still gave me as the signature. Like, it was like, that's my poem, but this ChatGPT made it better, but it also signatured it as mine, which I thought, well, because then I posted online and went, this is my original, and this is what Chat did. Yep. And apart from getting all the you can have my love button, Shane, I got some positive feedback from the poem itself. Like, it sort of grew, and I liked it both. I liked them both, but it's kind of like there is a purity, a purist approach to it that gives me ownership, even though it still made it better for me, or it interpreted what better was.
Yeah, I think so. I also think that, mate, there's something beautiful about imperfection as well. There's something in, like, I know as an author, like, I'm not a writer, like, I'm a footballer, like, I mean, the fact that I've written 8 books to me is quite mind-blowing. And when I started on my journey to write a book, if there was AI there, I would have been going, right, yay, help me. But there wasn't. There was just me, and really with no idea what I was doing. And I just knew that my books would be great because of my voice. My voice is needed, not an artificial voice, not something that's just to make it sound better. And I think there's so much misconception in this space of writing a book, that you've got to be a wonderful writer with flowery words and be this perfect linguist. And that's, nothing could be further from the truth. What you have to be is you, as an author, as a speaker, as a communicator. If you're trying to be something that you're not, people will pick that up in a heartbeat. And I just think you've got to be you. So where AI, and I think, that's why with your writing or your creativity stuff, be you with, I think there's certain ways where you can use AI incredibly effectively, and that's where it should be limited to. And you talk about backstory. So, mate, I want to ask you a question. You've published a poetry book. What's the backstory there?
Well, I made a video on it this week, and it's funny because it's fresh in my mind, and I did a bit of a video about it. And my backstory was that I was having a baby, a child at 40 years old, and the aunties came to me and said, we're going to do this thing called a blessing way. It's on the full moon. It's like pretty woo-woo, right? It's like, they're going to do it on the full moon, and at this property we're going to go to all the elements, right? We're going to stop at the lake, we're going to go to the earth, big rocks, we're going to go to the wood, we're going to go to the wind, right? And they said, but we want you to write, as the father of this child, a poem for each of those stopping places, right? So that's how it all started. I just started writing those poems, and then at the end of the ceremony, they were all putting beads together and making necklaces for us as parents. And the auntie said, you should write a poetry book. That is, those poems were amazing. And so there it was born, and I just started. Then I realized I had a gift with it. Like, if I know 2 or 3 or 4 things about somebody, I can just make a poem from it. Like, it's just one of those things that I can do. And everyone that knows me knows that stuff. So they're all kind of, but that's not where my creativity starts or finishes either. It's like, I do videos and images, and, I do creative content, digital media. But I have like these kids that come along that are also they come from like an internship. They come to me and work with me from all over the world, and they might work with me for 6 months, and they just get work experience, right? And I tell them the same thing that you just told me. It was that, find your style and stick to your style, right? That's what it is. You be you, and everyone will hire you for being you. So it crossed over all these different art is art, right? And it's under the interpretation of whatever. But in saying that, in the first book, I was like, don't touch it, don't edit it, don't make it anything. I was really protective of it. All my poems were written for me, and they're all especially written. And but now I look back and I think, Andrew, I wish I would have got some. I wish I would have put a little bit more effort into the grammar and spelling.
That's right, mate. That's book number. That's your next book.
Yeah, but it's incredible, right? Like,
Yeah. No, that's so true.
But we all look at our work that we've done. I think as artists, most people that I've spoken to, everyone that is an artist and they've evolved over time, they look back on their work when their first work and think, I could do it so much differently now, right? Because that's the evolution of it, right? You just progress.
Yeah.
And when you look back at the older stuff that you've done, you thought, well, I can do better than that. But it was what it was, and you did what you did with what you had. So it made it.
If it wouldn't be the same, would it? I mean, because my book, I look at my first book, which was published in 2004, sorry.
2000.
So that's nearly
30 years.
And I already go, but at that time, that was what I could do. And I'm incredibly proud of it, because it started my journey.
So, is that the Tears of Joy? Is that the Tears of Joy book?
No, Tears of Joy is my latest one.
The latest one, okay. And what was your backstory for your first book?
Well, my backstory is that I wrote a book, became an author out of desperation.
Right.
Not inspiration, desperation. Right. I was a personal trainer working 80 hours a week. I bought a cafe. I was working another 20, 30 hours a week in that. So I was working in 2 businesses, working 7 days a week, ended up in huge debt. And I was on the verge of ending it, because it was just, life was pretty miserable at the time. And I just gratefully just posed a question to myself, which I'd never asked before. And the question was, how do you want to live? And I started thinking about how I want to live. And I wanted a different life. I wanted to like me, and I want time and money. I want to impact lives, and I want to do something meaningful. And out of nowhere, honestly, out of nowhere came the idea to write a book, because it was such an illogical idea for me. I wish there was AI back then, honestly, because I would have gone, right, book, chuck it in there, give me an idea. I had no idea the process to write a book at all.
Well, that's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful, Andrew. That's so lovely. I didn't know that. So you've taught me something a bit more depth about who Andrew is. And I think we all go in. I don't know. We have to find our edge somewhere, right? And that's what softens us. That's what I said got said to me the other day. Like, if you find your edge, that's where your softness is, right? So, and it's kind of, you got to go through that, right? And it's a beautiful experience. And now you can sit and talk about it. But at the time, it was like traumatic, right? So it's interesting, because Miss Laura La Rocca's showed up, and she's getting herself ready. She's taking over the call as a beautiful star she is. But not many people know that Laura was married to Andrew at some point, right? Which I think is just really beautiful. I think it's really, really beautiful. And I feel privileged to host you both here right now. So I know Laura. I met Laura first, and I found, I would have expected her to come onto the call and just unmute her camera and just come on whenever she felt like it in the middle of Andrew's talk. But I really accept her for that, because I know that's her power. She just comes and she does things, right? So Laura, how have you got any feedback on, we're talking about backstories here, and how, we're even thinking about how, I'm just dropping you in here. Andrew's first book, and he was talking about what his backstory was, and how he was challenged in the moment, and why he became an author. But he's evolved from then. And we were talking about how evolution has changed from then, and how we would, if we had AI back then, we would have changed the way that we would have done our book now, right? So we're just talking about that, but we're probably focusing more on the backstory. What do you think about the backstory and AI's part of that?
I'm going to be interested to hear what Laura has to say.
I think it'll be poetry.
What's she going to come up with?
Oh my goodness! Hang on, wait a minute. Excuse me, wait a minute. AI, please. AI, I need help. AI, I need help. beat me up, Scotty. Beat me up.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a very interesting question. And why do you ask that question,
Well,
Shane?
because
What's
it's
your
like,
opinion on that? I'd
I
like
know.
to.
Oh, let me lead the witness, Your Honor. I wanted to
Yes.
because what I
Okay.
was
Well,
saying,
so
it was like you know how Facebook is
Yeah.
collecting all of your memories, and it's like
yeah.
letting you know, it's talking to you and saying your memories. This is what you did on the 10th of
Yeah.
whatever, 24th of August in 2000s, right? 2010.
Yeah.
This is what you were doing, right? So when you're looking to be an author and you're looking for, because we were also mentioning that sometimes the backstory is really important to the book itself, but having these AI algorithms that are working together to give you content that's readily available, so you're not
One thing. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm sorry. I'm just jumping in as I do. No. One thing, and I want to. This is a compliment to Andrew. And I'm not sure if this is relevant to the question, but it's just something that I've witnessed. Yes, being living with him for many years and knowing him, is how he finds inspiration in the most mundane thing, like the smallest things, and he'll just come up with, and he finds inspiration. He sees the silver lining it all, and through that he can come up with some amazing content that a lot of times I'd read and I'd thought, wow, just through, and I'm thinking, really, did that really come from his brain? I'm sure he was using AI. I reckon he's got AI somewhere in his, yeah.
I've got a microchip inserted.
That's not a cap. That's not a cap that he's wearing. That's
well, if I take this cap off, my head will come off.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Elon's neural net.
Exactly. But yeah, and I just think that's he's. I mean, I don't know why I'm edifying him. No, I'm edifying him because he's an amazing author, and that's. But he's one guy that and I think taking some he's definitely a man that sort of things happening for him, not to him, and I just it's a beautiful thing to witness. I don't even know what I'm talking about, really. I don't know why, but yeah.
No,
you were talking about memories. No, because you were talking about memories that come up on the phone and stuff, and it's really, I mean, that's AI, right? And I know a lot of the stuff, and that does, it's sort of it helps you to sort of go back into memories and sort of like you can sort of look at where you were to who you are now, and it's a beautiful thing. And I think someone's just popped in. I see a handsome man that just popped in.
Because Adam Wallace has arrived, and I was like, I wanted to let Laura just finish off what she was talking about, because I love the hot shoe shuffle. The hot shoe shuffle is amazing, and
throw Wally under the bus.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying.
That's all right.
Because Adam, welcome, Adam. Thank you for coming. I have some we were talking about, AI. I hope you were listening about what we were talking about and how, backstories and all that sort of stuff. And you being a children's author, and that's a little bit different, in my opinion, to like, writing personal, stories and poems and things like that. Being an artist of children's stories is something totally different. It's kind of unique in a sense that, I posted something in the group earlier in the week about how we lack male teachers, and male kids need male teachers, right? And that's what and it's missing in this society. And I was thinking about you when I was posting about it, because I wanted to bring it up to you on this call, and what your thoughts around, how could AI improve that, or with your ability to create stories for kids and have them engage with it. How does that resonate with the whole AI and your ability to access different tools to create content now, rather than having to make it yourself?
I mean, look, there's a fair bit of fear in the industry about it, that it is going to go. And as Job has said, there's places that are sort of saying, have you used AI and all that sort of stuff. And I think the thing is that we kind of forget is that, I mean, I think things scare us when they first come up. a car is artificial intelligence. Like when Jobs said there was no AI back in the day, he had to print it out. A printer is artificial intelligence. Like it's all, everything we do that we're used to, we don't even think about. Sending an email now, it's artificial intelligence. So we get scared. Look, when I'm sure when the cars first came out, people riding their horses were like, oh, I'm never going to ride a horse. When seatbelts came in, people were like, I'm never wearing a seatbelt. They just become common. So this sort of panic that we're having about it, I think now is just as you know, has been said a little bit, we're just going to start using it, and we're going to use it. Then some people will use it badly and some people will use it well. And I think with something like editing, where, as you're saying with your poems, if you've written it and then you use AI to edit it, really what's the difference in that than getting a person to edit it? Like it's the same thing. It's editing. It might be quicker, and I know you're big on that sort of thing, using AI to get more time so that you can then spend more time with your people, and that's a huge thing. And especially with self-publishers, some of them may not be able to afford to pay an editor, but they can use AI to edit it. They can get their book out there a lot quicker and a lot better than it may potentially have been. So, I mean, in terms of creating it, I've seen some stuff created that's been done by AI and ChatGPT and sort of written out, and yeah, it's not great, to be honest. Like, and I think that can change depending what people put in and what their question of the AI is to do it. But, you know, in the end as well, I think the biggest thing for me is that we're searching for fulfillment and we're searching for joy and pleasure. And if you just whip up a story on AI and don't have anything to do with it, maybe it'll do well. You're not going to get anything out of that. Spiritually, I guess, or I don't even know what the word is. But so in the end, actually creating it yourself is where you're going to get the joy and where you're going to get the pleasure out of it. And that, you know, some people might be different. They might not care. They might do it on AI and not care about that because they might make money and be happy with that. But I know for me and for a lot of creators, if you are a creative person, it's the act of creation that is the actual joy that we're getting out of it. So
yeah,
I don't think, well, AI can't take that away. And so if we keep doing that and use AI to our benefit, and there's some apps that are coming out in kids' books that are amazing. There's Quiver Vision. Quiver Vision uses augmented reality. So you have a book, you have a picture, and this one, it's the one I've seen is it's got sort of monsters in it. So it's a black and white picture of a monster. The kids color it in. You use your phone, and then on your phone, up pops that monster in the colors you've colored it in, dancing around in 3D. So it's enhancing what they've done. There's novel effect, where novel effect is you read a book and it's got voice recognition software. And so as you read, it's doing sound effects and playing a soundtrack to go with it. So it's enhancing what we've done as opposed to distracting from what we've done. So there's amazing stuff coming out, and I think that's only going to get better as we go along.
Yeah, well, I had one of my friends that came on here. We were supposed to be talking about the building industry and how the AI is going to affect the building industry, and I said to him, but I think more appropriate for him about, you know, because where his family's at, and I've known him for a long time. I said, what about AI for grandparents? What is being developed for interconnection from grandparents that are from a different, you know, long way away? And this technology, like you said, with Quiver and Novel, is exactly what they're doing. You can color real time on your device with your kid, with your grandparents from another location, and talking real time, coloring in the same picture. You know, it's just things like that it's not like as good as really being there, but it's better than not being there. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that gray area in between where we're creating connections, but where the connection wouldn't have been there in the first place. So, you know, I think
exactly. Do they have holograms?
See, I reckon that's not far off. I reckon, and again, like how amazing!
Having grandma there, you know,
grandmother in the house, exactly.
Bless her heart, has passed, and then you know the child or the grandchild or great grandchild are going to have their great grandmother sit there and read a book. Oh my gosh, how fabulous is that?
Like 5 generations and be recorded from now, right? Like maybe 300 years from now, and there's just like you know, all your family who you want there can be there talking to your kids and helping them.
I'm sure there's that on Star Trek. I'm sure there's something like that.
That's what I was saying.
And imagine like a history lesson where you've got Captain Cook hologram there telling you about what he's doing on the ship. Like you could do amazing stuff.
Well, that was Night at the Museum, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, pretty much. And that's the thing. We can have holograms doing that sort of stuff. How much more interesting would that make history class? That's usually so boring. Like it'd be incredible.
Well, they're already using holograms and stuff. It's like Michael Jackson came back and did a tour, and he was just a hologram, right? He traveled around the United States as a hologram, and they just had the real dancers on stage, and they'd actually filmed him and made him a holographic figure. So it is there, and Metaverse has got, you know, it's all AI driven, machine taught, you know, this real estate that's being bought up in you know, these metaverses. And that's where, so you know, we're meeting now in Zoom metaverse, right? So we're inside this, but they've elaborated so much more, where you can come in and, you know, sign into, you know, the registration process like you would go to any event. And, you know, you've seen the Tony Robbins where they got like, you know, 2,000 people and they're all on little screens and they're all waving their hands and all that sort of stuff. So it's sort of like a hybrid of a you know, a metaverse plus in person kind of event. So
I was watching one this morning, actually. I had one yesterday.
Yeah. I've been behind in the tech to create these things, so I know from the back of it, like, you know, what goes into it, right? And I know what can go wrong, and I know that even at the highest level, things is still challenging. So there's a simplification that needs to take place, because it's so, you know, detailed at the moment. It makes it really difficult to host it for a long time. So yeah, and you know, and our speed of internet, how quickly has our internet, you know, I mean, I don't know about Australia with your copper wires to your house, but you know.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And again, that's something again that people now like, that's artificial intelligence that people are wrapped with. If it went back to dial-up, they'd be devastated.
No,
it would be awful. So
it would be such a step backwards, right? So there's only one way to go with this, right? But I think what Andrew was mentioning before, this is purists about it, right? Where we've got this we need to hold the, you know, the authenticity for ourselves and have that as the guidepost for all things that come through the AI system. And I think what we chatted earlier about, you know, the AI that we see at the moment is only just the tip of the iceberg. What's out there is just will blow your mind. Like, it is just will be so incredible. It's just a game changer. It's like an industrial revolution. This is going to happen so big and so fast that we're not going to even know ourselves, you know. But it means that we'll probably become immortal, right? Like, we're probably the first of the species that will become immortal, where we will not be replaced by, you know, we'll have our digital avatar that will last forever, you know, as long as it's alive in some server somewhere and nobody does anything stupid. You know, when there's
as long as nobody does anything stupid. Come on,
worry, isn't it?
or AI doesn't erase us.
Something very stupid.
But that's great.
Yeah,
I mean,
what
projects do you think that you would bring up from this? Like, I was, one of my questions that I ask everyone that comes on the show, it's like, what currently isn't AI that you believe should be AI? And that's a hard question, because so much stuff is AI, right? So if you were to like had any forward projects that you were thinking about, what maybe like, you know, I don't know, like, what would you think would be a beautiful, oh, not even a beautiful, like, what even be a clever thing that's not AI at the moment that would be?
Well, I've still got to clean my toilet, so it'd be awesome if I've still got to wipe my
You get a Dyson to do that.
No, what about taste buds? You know how, you know, like the perfect pairing, you know, with food to wine. What if there's some sort of app that you can put a scent in, you know, instead of putting, you know, and it can sort of like and say, okay, the perfect pairing would be a, you know, of 1986. I don't know. You know, something like that, because there's nothing of scent, is there?
Did you watch last week's episode of the Evolution of Fatherhood? I had the head chef.
No.
Anyway, I had the head chef. He's the AI. He's the culinary director for the Hyatt Hotel, right? And he came on, Stefan, and he was telling me about ChefBot, which is like an AI tool. So yeah, it's happening. You can get pairing, you can do pairing, you can like imagine like saving food, right? One of the biggest problems is that we waste so much food, right? And imagine if you say, this is what I've got, you go to your chat and you go, okay, this is what I've got in my fridge, make my dinner, right? And then it just tells you, boom, 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 this is what you can have for dinner, right?
Yeah,
and you're not wasting food,
really
right?
good.
So it's kind of like that's the way that we look at it, because, you know, but as far as like, is it projects like the guys, you know, what would be something like from an author's perspective, what would be something that would be good for that isn't AI at the moment that should be?
I think there's I think it's really unexplored, and there's massive opportunity. And one would be like, even for something like Jobber's books, where you've got these different sections, you've got these different things, and even just a simple QR code where, you know, you get to an end of a section and there's maybe some activities to do. Scan the QR code, go to a video, and it's Andrew Jobling actually discussing the chapter and talking you through the exercises. Like, you can just do simple things like that. Even in a novel, like they used to do the commentary on DVDs of the director or whatever. You could have a novel, and again, at the end of each chapter, just have the author or the publisher just discussing why they did things the way they did, and the different processes they went through. So I reckon even simple things like that in books, you could do amazing little behind the scenes and interactive things there as well. And then, I mean, coming to looking at holograms and things like that, where I've just come back from 3 days doing school visits at a school in Melton, I could be doing that. That could go to 10 other schools at the same time, potentially. And I could be a hologram of me in front of those kids doing those school visits at the same time. So again, that sort of hybrid thing. So the potential for that, I mean, even now doing this sort of thing, I can do school visits to America. So straight away, this has just opened up the world, and I think it could advance even further. But definitely within the book, I reckon there's potential for so much expansion of the book that we can do.
But my kids still, like, when my son goes to school, and during COVID, they all had home-based learning, right? So they couldn't go to school. So they all were online doing home-based. But they've continued doing home-based homework and stuff online. So now it's not send them off with a book to go do homework. It's go and log into your Google Classroom, do your work on your Google Classroom. Your teacher can read it and see it straight away in real time. And then he's like done his homework. So it's kind of like there's another aspect to doing homework, because it's like, I've got to get on my computer and I've got to do it, and I've got to my teacher's going to see it straight away, kind of thing. So it's not like this, do your homework and then hand it over into Never Land and then get your mark back later on, right? There's a process where they can give you feedback and all that sort of stuff real time. So it's really cool. What about you, Andrew? Have you got any projects that you're thinking about?
I'm sitting here listening to this conversation, and I'm going to disrupt it, because honestly, what's going to happen with AI is going to happen, right? And I can't stop it, and I'm sure there's a lot of stuff will happen that is great and useful. I just love the process of writing a book. I love physically writing. I love understanding the mindset and the psychology that it takes to become an author and to become successful as an author. And it also takes work. It takes work to create habits. It takes work to become the person you want to become. And I just see so many people looking for shortcuts. And that's why people listen to audiobooks rather than read. That's why people go on diets rather than change their habits. And as I said, I love AI, but I just think I'm not going to sit here and try and imagine greater ways of doing what I do. That's probably going to happen. Wally's on top of that, so I'm going to leave that to Wally. I just want to help people believe more in themselves, understand that the process to be successful in anything, whether it's an author or what, it takes work. It takes self-belief. It takes them believing enough in themselves that they can do it without AI. And if they've got AI to help them, I think that's awesome. But you can be a great author without having some sort of artificial intelligence help you edit or write or whatever. You can do it. It's in your heart. And so, as I said, this is maybe not what you want me to talk about or what you want to hear, but it's happening. And again, I'm the oldest one in this conversation, right?
Really old.
Yeah, you can tell I'm really old in this conversation.
Really old.
Look, I use it. I'm grateful for it. I know it's here. I know it's here to stay. My fear is that we get so self-reliant on all these fancy schmancy, AI applications that we lose sight of human connection. We lose sight of understanding the power that we have within us. All the AI in the world will never, ever, ever come close to the AI that's in here, the intelligence and the capability and the capacity of humans. And I just think I don't want people to lose sight of that. So there you go. There's my piece.
Great. I think that this is the purest thing that we were talking about at the beginning, where like when I sit down to write a poem, I don't know what the poem's going to be. I just write a title or something. I have an idea, or maybe even a vague idea of what it is. And then the magic happens, right? You get out of the way. And then it's like you're like a conduit for the words to come through you, right? And that won't happen with an AI tool, right? That will be, the AI tool will be later in the process, like the proofreader or the, whatever. But I think that whole process, that creative process, has to be human. It has to be human, like you said. I agree with you totally, especially from a creative perspective as well. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to see AI get smarter and smarter and smarter and smarter, and that it will do its best
going to happen.
to try and have that as replication.
It's an avalanche that's happening, and I'm not here to say I don't want it to happen. I'm here just to say, okay, peeps, it's going to happen. Great, use it. Don't abuse it. Understand that you are amazing already. You don't need it. You use it because it's going to enhance what you do. But believe in you. I think the biggest issue we have in this world is not a lack of artificial intelligence. It's a lack of personal belief. That's where I see.
That's deep.
That is deep.
That's deep.
Well, when you get to my age, you get a bit deep.
Oh,
I spend most of my
get over yourself.
Come on, old man.
Louise.
Can you mute Laura for me, Sean?
That's true though, and the problem is as well that there's that sort of idea as technology gets smarter, people get dumber because we are just using it, and so we're not actually exercising our brain and exercising our creativity, and we're overstimulated with all that stuff. We don't have a chance to sit and be bored and let the thoughts come and create as well. So I mean, it is a problem, but again, as you say, Joe, that's going to happen anyway, and the people are going to get drawn into that. Other people aren't, and in the end, the cream rises to the top, I think, and we find our sort of purpose and our fulfillment the way that we do it, and all we can do is look after ourselves and do what we can there and help the people we can, and the rest will kind of take care of itself.
Well, I mean, as human species, like we can talk here in 2023 that we know in our history that we've been through Renaissance before. We've been through an upheaval in a certain situation and technology that's changed the whole being of being a human, right? And this is just another one of those steps, and it will change us forever. And and then there'll be another Renaissance, and then there'll be another one. So it's kind of like, this is part of the unfolding of everything, and it probably will all come back to source, where we are really protective of this thing that we call our own conscious spirit, right?
Paul,
Can
I ask a question? A calculator, would that be considered AI? Because
it's machine learning,
it's sort of, right? Because I remember, back in the days, when the calculators, because we weren't allowed to use calculators at school, well, and then all of a sudden we were, And I remember there was that whole thing of, can we bring a calculator into an exam? Because that's sort of cheating, because we're using, and now it's just like, gosh, it's not that we've become dumber because we can't add or we can't subtract. We can still do it in our head, but there was so much more that we needed to learn, like computers and stuff. We needed to catch up really quickly. Otherwise, but I'm just interested. Would you consider a calculator as AI?
In its form of AI, in like a calculator is a machine taught something, right? So it's kind of like this bit that's been together that's taking responses from you and interpreting into an answer, right? Reacting to you. But I had for consciousness to have like meaning, and I'm getting to the point where it's like this point of what it is to be conscious. Everyone is different on a different playing field, right? And this kind of brings progression is such a big thing that moves everything. And it's like the Trump and the whatever else that's happening in the world. There's all these things that are happening and you're going, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad. But then you go, but progression is moving everything. It's like this big thing that's moving, and everything's moving at the same time. So it's not stoppable, and it has been since we've been, and we get more conscious of it, I think, Andrew, as we get older as well. So, but this whole thing about consciousness is about.
You just said Andrew.
And you, I'm sure, but Adam, it's because I think it's about, you can have a conversation in your mind and actually think what other people will think about it, right? Like, so you can see and you can be the witness and the creator at the same time. And that's what the consciousness part is that you can see what it's going to, where machine won't have that. They'll just go like, this is a trail of, you know, I's and O's, and going, that's what, you know, this is the process that it's been following, right? So to teach itself. So yeah, there's a part of us that are, you know, human, that it's not going to be changed. You know, they're going to replicate it quite closely, and you're going to have probably AI wives and stuff and husbands. But we might.
Cool.
But
I think I need one of those.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you, everyone. We've just hit the time for it's 45 part to 15 minutes to the hour. I just want to thank you all for coming. It's been an amazing story. I think this is one of the best ones that I've had. So I wanted to thank you all for just being you. And I love that I've been able to get you guys to come on and spend some time with me and invest some time in getting, you know, to the root of AI, and we can share our.
Have we solved the problems of the world?
Well, I think
we have, haven't we?
This is the human part of it, right? We've got to protect ourselves, protect our soul, right? That's what it is. We're protecting our soul through our work, our creativity. And that's why Renaissance and culture is so important. And you know, we're very lucky being Australians to be able to see it both at a loss with culture, because being a world traveler, I know that we've lost a lot of culture. We come from a lot of places, and we're sort of, for the last 200 years, we've probably been a little bit lost in the way that our culture is, right? And when we've got a 10,000-year-old culture that's already based in Australia, but it's this that we're coming to learn, right? We're going to learn and connect with that, and that might be the whole process of it. But as far as us as what we're doing and you know, our call today and you know, AI and authorship, I would really love to go deeper and find out what it is. If there's any updates that you guys have got and you want to reach out to me and say, hey, we've been doing this and this would be really good. And Andrew, Adam, you know, your events that you've been going to and the schools, and I'm really, you know, all for that, because I think that I can see that they need more men that are talking about stuff that for other kids and other boys to understand from their perspective. And I'll put my hand up for any of that stuff. So I'm so grateful to have you all here. And thank you, Laura. I know you're going off for big meetings and stuff. So I know the time's precious, and, you know, it's the most thing that we've got. So from me to you, thank you very much for coming and joining the evolution of fatherhood.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers. All right. Bye. I'll go jump into. Love you. I respect you. All right. Okay, so guys, this is what we've got coming up in the next month. We've got the AI upskilling. What do you call it? Upskilling Summit. And it's all about, we're going to go through 2 hours a day for 2 days about AI and cybersecurity. We're going to talk about how AI and entrepreneurship, and how we start our businesses. So we can start a business from scratch now that we've got these amazing tools that AI is offering us. And I've just been through the whole process of it. So I want to go through step by step how we start up your business and how you start to run your business and gain your traction and your market. Okay. We can look at some new AI tools and technologies, and we've got panel discussions much like this one today, where we'll go through AI and what we've got looking forward to and what's coming up and what we should be looking out for with our future trends and predictions. And then after that, we have a retreat that's coming up. It's a father-son pathway to manhood retreat that's happening on the 29th, starting on the 29th of October with a welcome dinner. We'll be doing a 2.5-day workshop where we will go through everything AI with fathers and sons. And we found that, you know, there's a little bit of an evening out of the playing field when you've got a father that's ready to do his, you know, he wants to find more time to do more things with his son, and his son's down here and he's learned a lot about AI in school and using all these new technologies, and it sort of balances all the playing field out. And then they try and find some time for each other. And then we do an epic climb. We go and climb Mount Ranjani on the end of the next 2.5 days and do a camping trek over the mountain and really lock in, you know, the whole what it is to pathway to manhood with boys and men. And, you know, I always have some men that are looking forward to support some older guys that have already mentored young men through. They're looking to find some young boys that want to be mentored as well. And then we've got some young boys that don't have mentors yet, and maybe living at home with their mums, and their mums are saying, can you take my boys and take them up the mountain, which seems to be the key. but I think that the workshop at the beginning will be a foundation for establishing a good connection between boys and men, and creating this pathway to manhood. And then next week we've got some amazing people. We're covering, this one's going to go deep because not many of you know that I grew up with a handicapped brother, and my handicapped brother was normal, as you could see. He just had a cyst in his brain that had the size of your fist, but he actually functioned properly, but he just, it was like Groundhog Day. He couldn't remember what was just said to him. So it's kind of like I go through all of this with him. So it's close to my heart. It's called Unlocking Minds, the intersection between AI and mental health. And my good friend Graham Abbott, who is running the helpline in Indonesia. He's a boat operator, he's a scuba diver instructor, he's a downhill mountain biker. And he lives in Bali, and he's coming along to talk to us about AI and how it's the intersection of health. And Slade's coming back. Slade came back from when he came onto the evolution of fatherhood with his father. So Slade wanted to talk about his pathway to manhood and how he came to be with his father being in Bali while he was going through his manhood process, and how what was lacking for him. And now he's developing systems to hand back to kids or boys that are going through the pathway to manhood. So he's coming back on, and it'll be really great. So thank you, everyone. This is my link tree. You can click on the link. Oh, it's the Evolution of Fatherhood link tree. Scan the barcode, get the information, hook up with all the different social medias, and just get out there and have a chat. If there's anything from this call that you like to talk about more, or some of the maybe even some of the apps that Adam was mentioning earlier with his extensive searching around for AI and how it's changing the parenting experience, let us know. Drop it in the chat. We'll have a discussion, and maybe we'll have them back to get some more information about how it's all developing. So from me to you, thank you very much. My name's Shane Bowen. This is the Evolution of Fatherhood, and I will see you next week on the call. Bye. Oh, guys, you're still here.
That was amazing.
Stop. I got to stop first. Sorry.